Republicans voicing support for the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. Co-chairs Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy made the rounds yesterday on Capitol Hill. Let's bring in Senator Markwayne Mullin, Republican of Oklahoma. Senator, welcome to the show this morning.
Thanks for having me on.
Okay, I want to start with this. Senator Ernst is really focusing in on one of the issues that we're told will be first, and that's getting federal workers who are working remotely back into the office on a more regular basis. Here's what she says about where we are right now.
I have been on this kick for 3 years since COVID ended, and we, prior to COVID, had 3% of the federal workforce that did telework. Since COVID and after, now we only have 6% of our federal workforce actually going into work. Something I've been pushing on is getting those federal workers back into the offices or eliminating the buildings that they occupy.
Senator, I got to say, a lot of people hear those numbers and they're shocked. Average Americans who've long been back to work. Did you have any idea it was that widespread? Is that accurate?
Yeah, we knew that 6% of federal bureaucrats are only in work 5 days a week, 6%. And it's interesting because on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are the only day that traffic is actually really, really bad. It's always bad in D.C., but it's really bad in D.C. Monday and Friday, it's like a regular holiday. No one's around. And so we are, taxpayers are paying federal buildings literally to sit vacant. So Joni is 100% right on this. We're wasting billions of dollars on rent and billions of dollars of unworked hours for federal employees to literally sit home. This is a failure of the Biden administration. And so when Vic and Elon start talking about finding over $1 trillion quickly to cut from the federal budget when we're running a $1.8 trillion deficit year after year, it is easily found just in the workforce and the unpaid rental space that we're not using for offices.
Okay, so you guys had meetings with them yesterday, and they can make recommendations. They don't have congressional power. It is then left up to you. Here's Congressman Byron Donalds on who's responsible for actually cleaning up the mess.
The next big step is, what does implementation look like? Is it going to be by order in the White House, or is it going to be by stuff that Congress has to do? I think you're going to see some of both.
Okay. How do you and your lawmakers there on Capitol Hill actually put some of these recommendations, teeth to them, and make a real difference? Can you?
Well, there's two areas that will work here. First, right off the bat, President Biden and his administration through the executive branch can start making executive change orders, and those that are put in place that the Senate confirms, which will be the head of the department, can start making immediately changes. To follow that up, to make it permanent, that's where the legislative branch, which will be the House and the Senate, will be working together to make those changes permanent. First of all, we have to cut their budget. Right, we're spending money that they're not using appropriately for taxpayers, and we need to start cutting their budget and cutting it soon. I think what Vic and Elon can do will identify the exact areas that we can help cut at. Remember, we have all these agencies we've got to deal with. What Elon and Vic can do is they can really focus on one at a time and give us recommendations, and we can make it permanent. And I look forward to working with them because this is something that should have been done a long time ago. And I use this example all the time. When we were buying companies, my wife and I, we could easily look at financial statements and say we could cut 10 or 20% of their overhead pretty easy. When you start looking at a nonprofit, which is what the federal government is, we're not even for profit at all. In fact, we go in the red every month. You can easily cut 20 or 30% on a nonprofit budget on most cases, not always cases, but most cases. When you start looking at what we're cutting right now, we got about over an $8 trillion budget that we spend. $1.8 trillion is deficit spending, so it's not out of line at all for us to be able to cut 20% within the first 18 months of the president's new administration.
Well, yeah, we know hardworking Americans out there want to make sure their tax dollars are actually going to something that's productive, that they care about, that's efficient. We know you've got a lot of work ahead on this. Senator, thanks for your time. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you for having me on.